fundamental challenge with the Law of the Sea Convention in this area, that the Law of the Sea Convention is about the sea, and that these problems flow fundamentally from who owns the land. And the Law of the Sea Convention doesn't provide answers for who owns the land, and it also doesn't provide necessarily airtight answers to questions of what is an island and what is a rock, which are key definitional problems in these disputes. If we had more time, we could get into those fascinating topics about the definitions of rocks and islands, but I just want to highlight the issue at this point. Meanwhile, back at the Senkaku Diaoyu location, we have things going in a very different direction there. If, with apologies to Charlie Dunlap, if we've got a version of lawfare going on with the Philippines and China, I'm not sure what the opposite of lawfare is, if there's a converse term.
Fair law.
Fair law, war suit, or something, which I think is really what China, who has got arguably the more powerful kinetic position in the area, is arguably trying to change the facts to influence a potential legal encounter later on with Japan. Japan, for its purposes, is continuing to deny that there's even a dispute. Japan says our claim to sovereignty on these islands is so solid that in so many words, we don't even deign to acknowledge what China is saying about these islands. Two situations that you would think the law would provide promising answers for. Countries, all members of the same treaty, countries with a lot of reasons to work together and try to find solutions within the law. I think, though, that we should not have great expectations about what the law is going to provide in these situations. Number one, we've touched very briefly on some of the significant gaps that are in the law. Number one, and number two, both of these issues, as are the others, are heavily laden with centuries of cultural baggage and politics and everything that goes with the disputes in this area. What does it mean for the United States? I think today, on Sequester Day, it ought to go without saying that the United States does not want to see these things get hotter than they already are. If you had a really cold-eyed, realist view of a situation, you might think it'd be in our interest to watch China get involved in some scraps of its own. That doesn't last the logic of that, I think, doesn't last very long. We have treaties with both Japan and the Philippines that arguably require us to defend them if they come into conflict with a neighbor in a circumstance like this, and I don't think anybody's looking for that to happen.